Hey guys, Dragunity Assault here. Uh, I know, I don't make videos in quite a while, but hey. So I thought I'd do something a little different than I normally am accustomed to, which is deck profiles, compared to what I usually do, or used to do, which is binder videos. Figured I'd do something a little different this time. And lo and behold, it's my Dragunity deck. The one thing I actually do work on quite a bit. Probably my most competitive deck out of everything I've built. So yeah, just not wasting more time. Let's go ahead and start it. We start with 3 Legionnaire. Staple to the deck. You need 3. No more than 3. 3 Phalanx. This is your heart of the deck. This is how you get your Syncros going. Mostly since it equips and then special summons itself. Pretty straightforward. Works really well with ducks. You go for those Stardusts. Then you do your 2 Legionnaires. Almost called ducks. Legionnaire itself, and there goes my phone. Legionnaire itself is not a bad card, but just don't really use him as much as you normally would, considering this build works around a certain card, considering just just equipping and unequipping. And with that being said, really run 2 Atlas. Since this is mostly trying to, just do the synchro thing, Atlas isn't as needed as much as you would like to, but it's still a very useful card. It's extremely useful when your opponent stalls you and then they build up around you. This is a really good way to get rid of stuff. Then you run 3 Misleton, which is an abnormality to the deck. A lot of people don't run Misleton at 3. I run him at 3 mostly because my opponent will most likely try to bailer the ducks or bottomless the ducks. So Misleton is another way of doing it. I mean, if it gets bottomless, Misleton kind of becomes dead in my hand. But if it gets bailered, then it's a different story. Yeah. This build works on the Assault engine, so I run 2 Assault Beast. Get your Assault mode activates, and you can run Assault Beast if you don't run 2 Stardust Assault. The main point of the deck, called Dragunity Assault, negates pretty much anything that's not a counter trap card, which is the only thing these things cannot negate. Becomes pretty broken. It's pretty much if I can get 2 out on you, it's GG. Pretty straightforward with deck. Not a lot to really say. And with that, that's the monster lineup. Moving on to the spells, you have 3 Ravine. Ravine's really what you need. If there's a Ravine, there's a way. Discard, get a Dragunity level 4 lower, or just send a dragon to the graveyard, mostly do Phalanx or any of your tuners. Then you 3 Terraformings. Terraforming is really what gets your deck going, because now it's only deck thinner. Searches for your Ravines, so that's technically having 6 Ravines, technically. But yeah. Again, straightforward, self-explanatory. You get your Ravines into your hand, and you play your Ravines. Also, since Ravines effect, the cost for the effect requires just any card to be discarded. Pretty good. 2 MSTs. I start noticing the amount of gold cards I have in here. That's because I like gold rares a lot. MST, staple. You have your draw power, which is your cards of contest, which you don't really need as much. Every time I play somebody and I end up, getting my ass kicked on Nita Side Out, these are usually the first cards to go, because you don't really need them as much. It's a good card to have, but you don't need them as much. You have Pot of Avarice, straightforward, your Dark Hole, your Heavy, and your Reborn. And that's your monster lineup. And for traps, gonna run your 3 Assault mode activate. Get your Stardust into Stardust Assault mode. Pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. 2 warnings, because warning actually is a little bit better than bottomless in some situations. Majority of these situations do revolve around me using warning, so warning works better for me. 2 Bribe. I like Bribe better than I would like 7 Tools to the Bandit or like Magic Drain, mostly because it's pretty versatile. I know it gives my opponent a draw, but hey, shit happens. A Starlight Road, because sometimes you just can't get just can't get that Stardust out there, so this card really helps out. Especially when you have a set somewhat activate. Just your opponent tries to heavy storm you. You do Starlight Road, you get your Stardust out, and then you do your Assault Mode. Pretty good. And your Solemn Judgment. Self-explanatory. And now for the coup de grace is the Syncros, which is the main part of the deck. Your deck is only as good as the Syncros. So in my deck, I run 3 Bosch Royanas. If you notice, one of them's in Spanish. Lol. Bosch Royana, pretty self-explanatory. Actually has multiple uses. You're mostly going to use him in order to get to your Stardust if you do your Ducks. Also, if you go to Ackley's, he becomes a 2800 beat stick, and you get Ackley's effect. So he's also good for destroying things if things don't go your way. Your guy Dirk, I hardly use him, but he is your backup Rabin. He's a good card to have. Overall, yes, you discard. No, you search for any. Let me read them. 1/4 dragon or winged beast monster from your hand, and then you discard 1 card. So you can literally just grab 1 card out of your deck and then discard the same card. Works pretty well. Trident Dragon. This is your plan B if Stardust Assault just isn't going anywhere. This is technically your plan B, because if it doesn't work, then you start going into your level 8s, and then you start going to your level 10. So you try to clear your opponent's field, try to get him to not be able to do anything against you or to stop you, because this is pretty much a gamble. Once you do this, if your opponent stops you, it's gonna be pretty. Unless you have some your field set up really well, it becomes really hard to come back. But still a good card. Especially if your opponent tries to anticipate your Stardust. It's a good way to just to try to be a little different here. And you got your Red Dragon Archfiend. Now your 3 Stardusts. Stardust is the main heart of the Syncros. It's like your Phalanx and Syncros. You need Stardust for everything you do in here. Mostly because of what he does. He negates stuff. Does really cool things. Like negating stuff that destroys. So yeah. It's also the reason why you need your Stardust Assault. You know, start somewhat activates that stuff. Black Rose. Now Black Rose is a really funny card in here, because mostly it's really rare to do level 7s, but I have been in situations where I actually could go for a level 7 and have. Involves if you do, maybe you synchro with Legionnaire into a 5 and then you go into Black Rose. That's usually when your plans are not going anywhere. Your plan A or your plan B stops, and you're basically left to your own devices. You don't have any gimmicks anymore. This is kind of your out card. So I would consider this kind of like your plan C, I guess. You got Scrap Dragon. Pretty self-explanatory. You blow up stuff. After a while, you can you put yourself in a position in this deck where you can pretty much just synchro into any level 8. So good level 8s make a really good difference. Thought Ruler. He's kind of like your secondary Stardust, except he's not as good as Stardust. But he can turn the game around pretty well. He'll gain whatever life points equal to the attack, whatever he destroys. So anything 27 or under, 26 or under. He cannot be targeted by any spell traps, because you can just pay 1,000 to negate it. So pretty cool. Hyper Libarium, pretty self-explanatory. You draw stuff. Magical Android, so you can gain quite a bit of your life points. 600 can make a difference sometimes. And last but not least, your Catastor. Catastor is the main 5 you would go for in this deck. You pretty much just destroy stuff with it. So you're trying to get around things that you can't normally destroy by battle, or your opponent can easily protect or easily get effects out of. Like anything that has to be destroyed by battle, he really works well with that. Alright, that's your Syncros. And now the side deck, I mean. For the side, I have 2 Bailers. Self-explanatory, you Bailer things. You do 2 DD Crow. DD Crow, what he does, what is really useful is again things like Gish Keys. Just remove that Aqua Mirror. Anything that revolves around the graveyard. If your opponent has sharks and windups, just get rid of your sharks, get rid of your hunters. That's Send Mighty. Get rid of that. Pretty cool. Pretty useful card. A lot of people don't use them anymore. Prohibition. Now this is where it really gets fun because the biggest problem against this deck is Thunder King. So when your opponent puts you up against the Thunder King, it suddenly goes from being fun to not being so fun. So when you do Prohibition, just declare Thunder King. If you can defend yourself pretty well and make sure this doesn't get destroyed, your opponent just will not be able to Thunder King you, because that's the biggest problem. Remember that Dragunity Search, add to the hand from the deck, and special summon a lot. So Thunder King really hurts your game. And there's my phone again. And 1 Forbidden Chalice. Just in case I end up against things that try to wreck me. Like, I usually side this, but sometimes I have used it. Like things like when you try to bottomless your ducks, or stuff like that. If you just need to keep something alive, basically. Works pretty well. Or if your opponent tries to activate an effect, just chalice it. And 2 Fiendish Chain. This works really well. You do it on your tour guides. Don't do it on Rabbit. You should never do this on Rabbit. Your magicians, your sharks, utopias, whatever that activates. Pretty cool. Pretty useful card. Chain Disappearance, and that's kind of flying off. Chain Disappearance mostly works against anything that's 1,000 or less from moveset from play, like Rat, any majority of the I wouldn't say majority, but a bunch of the Insectors are affected by this. Just banish them, straight gone. Pretty cool card, works really well. This card saves you. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is mostly reserved for Insectors, because Insectors are still a bit of a threat. Insectors can wreck your shit if you don't proceed with caution, I guess. So this card really comes in handy when stuff like that happens. Yeah. Again, I hate to use the phrase self-explanatory, but it's pretty explains itself. And goes in match, because a lot of the monsters here are wind, and that really benefits you when you're playing things that are very buried. Again, like wind-ups. If you're playing any hybrids, I guess, works really well with that. But again, that's the deck. That's my Dragunity Assault deck in a nutshell. And stuff's going in the back. Yeah. Any comments, suggestions, likes, preferably likes, will be welcomed. And anyway, so yeah. Yeah. Stuff's going on in the back. I must jiggy along. And so yeah. See you later, guys. Y'all can check out.